So though I could actually bind this with a GT5, I've definitely got plenty of them here. I'm going to use the 8AA s because I really just want to see the full experience of someone who's just spent 150 bucks just on this. That's it. Just the truck. Nothing else. So you get the radio, the charger. Let's see what kind of experience I have as a person with this one crawler. I'm really actually looking forward to seeing just how far we get, or not. So let's do that. How cheap can you go and still have a rock crawler and get the rock crawling experience? I picked this up for 203 Australian dollars, which is 151 US dollars. This is the RGT. Is it a Toyota? Is it a Land Rover? Mishmash of various other vehicles. There is 136100 V2 as the item number. Anyway, I've not actually opened this box before. I'm looking forward to seeing what's in it. So this is what $150 buys you. Alright, so this is for the Australian market. I've got an Australian power plug there, and I've got a sticker sheet of all things. I can see there's going to be some issues here. It doesn't weigh a heck of a lot, something like 1.35 kilos. It's a 8 AA battery design. Copy of the old version of the FlySky. Turnigy did an orange one of these on Hobby King for years. I think that's what this is, so yeah, it is. What I'd really like to know is, can you go crawling on the cheap, and is it alright? That is surprisingly nice. It's kind of rough on the inside. It's got a rough white finish to it. It flexes, so I don't see cracks in it. But this is what I'm really interested in. This is a 25 turn, and it is a 370. It's a 370 motor. This little battery's really cool. There's a 7.2 volt 1500 milliamp nickel metal hydride battery. There are lights wired to the front and rear. The sales copy for this car said it was an all-in-one receiver and radio, but this is a branded Hobbywing, and this is a 1625. I know what this ESC is. It said 40 amp, but this is actually not a 40 amp. It's a 25 amp ESC. But that's really nice. And this is a FlySky receiver. It says HSP, but that, my friends, is a FlySky. So I can bind this probably to my GT5, probably. Tires are nice and soft. This is smaller than an SDX10. I had been thinking that it would be an SDX10 clone, but no, it shares some characteristics. It's got similar design cues, like these rounded bumper adapters, but the shocks are kind of nasty. They're small, but the thing doesn't weigh that much. And this battery in the rear, LiPo or even nickel metal hydride, you put it over the front, that'll help. Now it is axle mounted servo. I don't think it's going to be particularly strong. So here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get this thing out on the track. We're going to need this adapter. What I'd like to do is to get this thing on the track and see if it stands up to being a rock crawler. Can you have an actual rock crawling experience with the stock everything? The wheels are glued on well. I mean, there are foams in here too, and they're vented. It's a small motor, 25 turn. It's going to be too fast and it's going to get hot, but can you have an actual rock crawling experience with this thing? Well, I reckon it might be alright. This is a shorter wheelbase. So this is the MST DC1 I just built. It's a 313mm, so the wheelbase is different. But this is actually potentially an advantage because it will help it clear obstacles. It's got a nice flat underside. I just want to get this on the track. It's look, it's got some flex. Okay, that's, even though there's still C channels, that's to be expected, honestly. And I've said this on another video, a stiff chassis isn't everything. On a road car it is, but on a crawler it's not so much. The ring and pinion setup is tight. Honestly, this is not bad. The lights are plugged into the third channel. They're just straight, probably getting a 6-volt 1 amp. Yeah, there you go, it is. It says WP1625. So I'm familiar with this ESC. It's a good ESC. I'm mildly surprised that it's not some piece of junk. That and the receiver are really good. This 7.2 volt, 1500 milliamp nickel metal hydride, sorry. These are kind of heavy, but I'm going to use it. I can't wait to get it on the track. Let's leave it completely stopped. Let's just see how it crawls. I'll stick it around the 6 problems. It's probably, if it finishes 2 or more, that's a plus. These are hard problems. I can't wait to see how it does. So let's do that. This is awesome. Off-road. It is possible we're going to break it on this test. I don't want to, but we probably will. Getting the line right's good. But what I was saying was that shorter wheelbase gives it a bit of clearance right now where the skid would otherwise be touching this rock under here. If I bind this to my GT5 radio, what I'll do is I'll introduce an exponential so that the first half of the throw of the throttle will be much more dull. It's too sensitive. But look at that. Where I think with some patience, this thing is going to be able to get quite some way, hey? That's already impressive for a bit of a cheap truck. Look at that. Little untidy at the end, but hey, problem 1 is done. We have a weight distribution problem here. So what I'm thinking is we'll give this little vehicle every possible chance. It's a big battery and it's a moderate proportion of its total weight. So I'm thinking, what if we pull that out? Things aren't too hot right now, honestly. If we park it in the front instead. So we're not spending any money for this mod, but it really is unable to crawl the way I'd like it to with the battery sitting on the back. It's just so much weight. It keeps the nose way up in the air, and so we're not able to get the traction that really we need. Yeah. Now the battery's only slightly warm. I'd say we've still got plenty of life left in it on this charge. Now that we've done this, we're going to go back to problem 2, which we just failed on, and have another go at it. My feeling is where we got close before, we're going to get closer now. I don't know if it'll do it, but the nose is already staying down where it wasn't. We're not done yet with little mods for this thing, I think. But any mods we do are going to need to be super cheap to stay with the theme of buying a cheap crawler. I can already say I don't know about the servo, but certainly the motor and the ESC can get wet. The receiver would need to be waterproofed, but you can stick that in a balloon or a little bag and just rubber band and or hot glue the part where the wires come out. The servo is the only questionable thing, but a waterproof servo might be another $20, which I know is 10% of the value of this thing, but that's how you get this thing to be a waterproof machine. We're so close to rolling. We've got the battery sitting in the front under the hood, which is a better spot for such a big chunk of metal. It's already helping on this. I still this course is designed for to really test a crawler, a 110 scale 4-wheel drive crawler. So for this very cheap, very basic and undersized model to complete any of them is, well, I think it's noteworthy. We've finished 1 out of 2 so far, problem 1. I don't think we're going to finish this one, but I'll try a few angles and alright, problem 3 is out as well. Alright, we've done problem 1 successfully. Problem 2, it did once, but it kind of tumbled off at the very end, so I'm not going to count that. Problem 3 just wasn't going to happen. Now, at the point of problem 3, I relocated the battery to the front because being in the back, it was stopping it from keeping that front down. And I'll say it again because it's really worth noting here. These problems are tough. They're seriously, they're not at all easy for any four-wheel drive 110 scale crawler. This thing's more like a 112. We've rolled a couple of times, but it gets up on its feet usually. And the tires aren't terrible, honestly. They're certainly pliable. They've got nice little flexible nubs on them. Oh, actually here, maybe. Yeah, it'll do it here if it's going to do it. There you go. Had about a centimetre of error there. We're going to have to hop it across because it's going to get hung up otherwise. Ooh, it's close. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, we got a hope over here. It's kind of the danger zone coming to the right, but there now. Yeah. Tiniest, gentlest reverse. There. And being mindful of the limitations of this servo. The body's distorting horribly. I'll put a photo in now because I can't get the camera down there, but I'll show you what I mean. This is why we have sliders on vehicles. And because we're sitting on, you see, if we had sliders, it would be resting like that, and you'd have a chance. But where it's sitting now, I don't know if that's going to be recoverable. Yeah, problem 4 ain't gonna happen. That's all right. Okay, we've done problem 1. We half did problem 2. Problem 3 and 4 were just totally out. This is problem 5. Short wheelbase will actually work for it here because it doesn't get hung up like the bigger trucks often do. The approach angle's not too bad, honestly. It's a wide front bar, but it's well designed. I like that. And I've said it already on this test, the tires, they're not too bad. I don't know how they're going to be when they get wet in about 3 seconds, but now, oh no, stay dry. No, we're too far over. It really wants sliders. That's an obvious exclusion that hurts this thing on these courses. But otherwise, so far, there's plenty of promise, put it that way. We need to gear it down. The motor is just it's got too few windings on it. That's the first thing I might try and replace. But we're going to do this on a budget. Here's how we do it. Here's how we do it. Oh yeah, look at that, done. Okay, here we are on problem 6. I had to take a break to recharge the battery because it didn't last. It's a 1500 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride, and it just wasn't quite up to the task. It's, for what it is, the value's pretty hard to beat, honestly. And the majority of out-of-the-box crawlers won't be able to do this. So for US $150 for the whole package, I'm already impressed with just 2 of the problems done. It'd be so cool if it could do 6. I don't think it will. I will say, if it could make the transition to say this point here, sorry, if it could get to about there, which is unlikely, I think it'd finish it. And this is the shorter wheelbase, you see that? But I can't count that because we need to get from here to there, and it's this hole here that's a problem. We'll have one more go, but I think we're going to call it after this. I'm trying being further across that way to the right. Okay, so we've just done this thing on the 6 problem course, and we got problem 1, smooth as silk. It kind of did problem 2, we got over it, but then fell off on the exit, so I'm not counting that. 3 and 4, not going to happen. Problem 5, it did. Problem 6, it can do the end bit and it can do the start bit, but it can't get that transition where the back left wheel falls down a hole. So 2 out of 6 is not bad for a $150 box stock rig. All I've done is move that battery forward, and I've pulled out the spacer in the front shocks to soften up the front suspension a bit because the springs are a little bit too stiff. But otherwise, it's just stock as. I think it might be interesting to throw it around the course now, so that's what I'm going to do, and let's just see how it does there. I reckon this thing still has some achievement to show us yet, so let's do that. Time starts now. Hopefully the battery lasts. So this is not designed, well, no, that's not true. It is designed for it, it's a crawler. But we are asking a lot of this little crawler on a course like this. It's not a fair course for this truck. I'm not holding back on how I drive it. I am using mechanical sympathy, I'm being careful, but I've been expecting to break something the whole time and nothing's broken yet. Doing alright, honestly. It needs a bit more weight. I think if we could get some solder winding around these wheels, it'd help. I don't want to reverse, we're going to. First reverse. Come on. Yes. Gee, that's close. Cleared it though. Yes, tidy. Look at that. The whole car weighs 1.35 kilos. There's a reverse. Another reverse. We've eaten that gate, but that's gate 5 cleared anyway. So 3rd reverse for this attempt, I think. 4th reverse. 5th reverse. Really could use a bit of weight. Now we didn't touch that gate then. We've come up next to it, wobbled the rock that it's on, but it didn't touch that gate. It just looks like it did. All right, that's gate 6, cleared very untidily, but I've never cleared it that way. It did it though. Wow. All right. Gate 7, we will need to eat that. Another reverse. I'll need to count this later. Okay, so we've touched gate 7, but we've cleared it. Gate 8, we can actually skip the bonus. We're not going to get up that tyre. We need to turn around. Battery's nearly done, I think, at this point. So you get about 20 minutes of crawling out of it. Now, before it couldn't do this, oh, well, battery's nearly done. We're gonna have a go at it. Lifts the wheel, lifts the whole front. All it needs to do is get up this bit and we're good. No. Another reverse. Let's think about this. We're going to back out of this gate completely. The only way to finish this, if we can't climb up that granite, is to come around. Let me think here. This is going to be close on battery. Not time, battery. So a little LiPo battery, 2S LiPo battery would be a winner for this thing. Let's see if we can get up here. Another reverse. This is the only hope we have to finish this course. Another reverse, now that we've got the front up. Oh no, we lost it. That was another reverse there. Another reverse. Come on. This might be a DNF. It was kind of ambitious in the first place. We still have most of a minute left. Yes, yes. We're going to finish this. If I'm wide enough here, we're going to finish it. Oh, how about that? How about that? 4:31. I bet it's hot. It's warm. Okay. The battery's had it. So 15 to 20 minutes of hard crawling. Right, let's have a chat. This is slightly on the smaller side. I'd call it more of a 1/12 scale than a 1/10, but what we just saw and what I experienced today was pretty impressive. We've got steel universals, steel unis at the end of the shafts as well as at the end of the axle, the front axles. We've got steel links, steel steering. It's a plastic servo horn. The underneath is quite smooth. As far as the damage report goes, the links are scratched, the diffs are a little scratched, the unis on the drive shafts have a little scratching, but it's pretty much unmarked otherwise. The front and rear bars are really good. They have it's a pretty decent approach and departure angle. The approach is nice. You might chop off these little shackle mounts at each end because they did get in the way a little bit, but otherwise, I mean, you got lights in it as well. It's ready for a night crawl. If you're after a taste of rock crawling, this is not a terrible way to go. Okay, so here's what you'd change. First thing, relocate the battery to the front. Second thing, take the spacers out of the front suspension. You do those two things before you drive it. Third thing, separate the tire from the rim on one side of the rim, wrap some solder around the wheels, 40 or 50 grams, make it completely waterproof. You need to, actually before you spend money, stick the receiver in a balloon or a bag and rubber band that thing. The servo I haven't checked. It says Servo E6001. Crawlers are cheap. You want a taste of rock crawling? The RGT something 6 digits is not a bad one. I'll flash that up on the screen because I can't remember what the numbers are. Over the course of a few months, spend another $50 or $60 just on a waterproof servo, a higher turn 370 motor, and a small 2S 1200 milliamp hour LiPo, and you will be set. This is really good, really good. So can you buy cheap, and is it cheerful? In this case, yeah, I think you can. It's honestly not bad. Throw me a like if you enjoyed this little intro to cheap crawling. Thank you so much for joining me. It was quite fun. Stay tuned, I've got some cool stuff coming up. I've got an SCX6 that's going to be delivered in the next couple of days. I've got the VS410 Vanquish Phoenix on the workbench right now being built. There's the MST DC1, the Discovery, that's built, ready to test. We've got the Night Runner ready to test. But there's a bunch going on, so subscribe if you don't want to miss any of that stuff. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I will catch you next time on RCTNT.